Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Apologies for the quality of this video. It's a little bit ad hoc, this one. I was going to do a thing on this drawing, but I've hurt my wrist and I'm not sure how I've done that. But I tried to actually film an attempt at me doing this on, and I don't know if you can make out the lines on this, but they're, you know, super uneven because every time I try and put a bit of pressure down, it was making my wrist flare up, and also I then smudged it like crazy, which kind of was like, that was the sign to give up on that one. So this video is just going to be me talking about a few of my my favorite little art toys that I've picked up, a few little things that I really enjoy using. The main one is this light board. Now my fiance bought me this for Christmas of 2016. I'm not sure how much it cost. It must have been, I guess, in the region of about £45, something like that. So about, I think now about $60. It's absolutely fantastic. It's really slim. I used the light box at school, and it was, you know, years and years ago, obviously, but it was absolutely huge. It was a big, great big thick thing, and it wasn't, you know, super even light. Whereas this thing is probably going to blow the camera out when I turn this on, but there we go. So you can see that's really nice even light. I can get a piece of this. This was Express-It blending cards. It's quite thick, and you can see there that, you know, practically transparent once you put that over the top of it. It's absolutely amazing. What I was going to do with this one is, this is one that I drew originally on some Bristol board, and I kind of screwed up on the eye a little bit. There's a bit here where I went over, you know, I'm pointing out things that you really can't see on camera, but I accidentally went over the where his tabard kind of folds over. I drew a muscle line over that for some mad reason, and I really don't know why I did that. I was also trying to use for the first time my dip pen and my new Kaime drawing ink that I just had arrive off Amazon. This stuff is Copic proof. It definitely is. I've tested it quite intensively. I drew a couple of lines on some marker paper, and, you know, I went crazy with the yellow alcohol marker, and it lasted, you know, the whole time. The dip pen that I've got is I did have this cheaper one, which I think I showed in a previous video. I've tried to use this one. It's too narrow. It's really slippery. It's a really gloss finish, and it's just way too long as well. It feels more like a paintbrush than a pen. I've bought this one again off Amazon. This is a, I think, Kuretake. Oops, oh, sorry. This is a Kuretake one, and this is just, you know, miles better. It's got a little bit more heft to it. This rubber grip makes all the difference in terms of holding it. I also bought some new nibs. These are the zebra, whatever you want to call it, G nibs. They come in a little pack like that. All in for the nibs, the pen, and the ink was probably around about £20. So what's that? $25 now. There's not much of a difference these days. So yeah, that was what I was trying to use. But again, because my wrist keeps flaring up, it's a bit of a challenge getting the control that you need with this kind of thing, because you really do need to be kind of you can't just draw like you do with a fine line pen. You do need to be deciding how thin or thick your lines are going to be as you're doing it, and you can't do that if you're in paint. So yeah, there's my light board. Fantastic present from the missus. Next toy that I'm really enjoying using at the moment is the one that I did in my last video, the Bodycon DX set. I found out this one is. Now, I mentioned in the last video that I thought it might be a knockoff version. It definitely is. I went back to the seller, and he didn't say knockoff or fake in so many words. What he did, the words he used were China version, and when I asked him what China version meant, he said that it meant it was made from a different plastic, not using the original molds, but it was good quality. And so, I mean, I've got no issues with it so far. Like I said, I think that explains why this left arm is a little looser than the right one, but I've not had any issues with it falling out of positions that I want it to be in. It's, you know, it is still fantastic for the money, and I have been using it on something that I'm going to be showing in a future video. I've found a fairly straightforward technique of getting the pose that you want from your bodycon onto an actual drawing, and it's, you know, it's not cheating, but it is much more straightforward than you know, actually just sitting there and trying to draw it from life, which I guess most people would want you to do anyway. Haven't used this Figma knockoff since I've had the bodycon, haven't needed to. I rarely draw females anyway, but some things about this are just horrific, so I've stopped using it altogether now. May have noticed with the light board, every now and again you see it's got the blue tape on it. That's just some 3M blue painter's tape that I bought, again off of Amazon. Everything comes from Amazon. Great stuff because it peels from the paper without tearing the paper, and it doesn't leave residue on the light board either, so that's, you know, pretty useful. In terms, I've got these things here which I use for doodling. Artist's tiles. They came as a packet of 64. I think this is like not my first pack, I should say as well. This is probably, I think, the second pack, and what they are is little squares of decent quality 300 GSM bleed-proof, acid-free cardstock. So what they are absolutely perfect for is Copics. So if I'm just kind of sitting scribbling away, you know, I'll do a picture and, you know, ink it with a Copic, and it doesn't really, you know, it doesn't bleed through to the other side anywhere near as much. I mean, in some cases it bleeds less than, you know, things like Bristol board. So yeah, absolutely love these little things, and I tend to chuck a few in my bag and carry them around with me because I find them less wieldy than unwieldy, sorry, than a whole sketchbook. These are the Copics that I currently own. Not a huge selection. I did work out I've got just under 50, which is actually dreadfully expensive. I've got one for my line art pens as well, and my white gel pen that I use sometimes for highlights. Don't use it so much now actually, because I picked up whoops, just throwing things. I picked up a paintbrush and some white gouache from one of my little local art stores, and that works much better for highlighting, so I've moved on to using that now. But yeah, I do need a better solution for storing my markers, so if anybody's got any ideas, or if anybody has recommendations, then, you know, throw them my way, because these things, whilst they're cheap, you can't really organise everything. You have to, you know, just kind of scramble when you want your pens. You have to just, you know, have a rummage. I've also got another one which I've got my very small collection of Prismacolor pencils in. I bought these because I've seen some absolutely gorgeous work that people have done of using Prismacolors on like a tan paper, and at some point I'll get around to giving that a go, but for now I'm still trying to work out how the markers are best used. Yeah, sorry about that. As I said, this is a bit of an ad hoc video. This is my collection of other markers and kind of ancillaries. At one point I was trying to swatch each of my pens, so I created this. It's basically just some sliced up card, a little keyring thing here, and then these are like the little reinforcers for hole punch holes. I did start doing every single colour, and, you know, this is what I had. That was my entire collection of Copics when I started this. So what happened was I moved on to the Copics, and then realised that there are actually charts available to download, and so I just downloaded one of the charts, and I've been colouring that in ever since. So yeah, that doesn't get used much anymore. Some cartridges for my Pentel brush pen. I think that's for the orange one. Yeah, that's for the orange one. There's the bag, my little graphic markers, that graphic liners came in, and don't have the heart to throw it away. Yeah, in here I've got the rubbish bold mirror markers. I've got the touch that I bought to try for that video, and The other bulb mirrors that are not in the case. I've got my Winsor & Newton and my Pro markers from when they were still Letraset. Yeah, not really much to say about this lot. This barely gets used anymore. It tends to get used if I've got probably if you watch the fortune teller Baba drawing that I did, I used these when I had to fill in colours that I'm still missing from the Copic sets. So yeah, these tend to be a last resort these days. And I guess finally, the things that made me want to start drawing, apart from reading comics when I was a kid and absolutely loving, above everything else, just how pretty they looked, I got these books. So first of all, here's a little crappy no-name sketchbook that I got from again my local art store, a place called Crafts and More. That's me trying to swatch at the beginning before realising it was just going to destroy everything in there. That was all of these pictures of me practicing with the Pentel Pocket brush pen, just trying to learn a bit of line control. Never really got there, to be honest with you. So yeah, but when I was a kid, my dad bought me this book, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, and if you look at it by today's standards, it's really quite quaint and quite useless. I mean, what I will say is, if you can pick up this book, if you're in the UK, there's a shop called The Works, which is where I buy a lot of stuff. They have this book in stock right now for £4.99. It's just a fantastic read for that. I mean, it's got so much insight and it's got so much insider knowledge that you wouldn't expect to have in a book like this. So if I get to some of the artwork, it's very classic. It's based on Marvel, but the actual artwork that you get in it is incredibly old school and very classic, teaching you how to draw characters in the Marvel way, teaching you the difference between a Marvel pose there and a normal man's pose. It's just an interesting read. It's got some absolutely stunning artwork in it, if nothing else. So definitely recommend that. If you could pick it up for the £5 that I paid for a new copy, then absolutely go for it. But then when I was a little older, I picked up these. I was in Forbidden Planet and I picked up this. It's a bit battered now because it's still the original one that I had probably about 20 years ago now. How to Draw Manga. I do have volume 1 as well. I'm not sure where that is right now, but these books are, if you actually want to learn how to draw manga, I would say practically useless. It focuses a lot on things that are not readily available to anybody outside of Japan, really. So it focuses an awful lot on tones. So if you read a lot of manga, you'll know that tones are where they've kind of just got like a pattern sticker. So you see these. I'll try and get on this. So basically, it's like a pattern sticker that you kind of rub onto the page. You cut off the bits that you don't want, and then it leaves kind of a tiny little dot pattern, like, that's kind of a close-up. Not readily available over here, certainly in the UK. Had a look online, and you can buy packs of them, but they are horrendously, prohibitively expensive, and it's a shame because it's something I've always wanted to try. But it teaches you at the beginning. Is it this one or is it? So this one is it kind of tries to give you a bit of comic narration at the beginning, but the book before this basically tells you all the equipment that you need to buy, and most of it is stuff that you would have a hard time getting over here. They did a load of variations on the How to Draw Manga book, so special editions like this one, Giant Robots, which I absolutely love. Mechs and Transformers is one of my favourite cartoons, if not my favourite cartoon, and it's this was pretty cool, and I got it purely as a reference. Kind of, it doesn't really teach you how to draw these things. It just shows you loads of pictures and explains the principle behind it. But there's no actual kind of step by steps. This one, dressing your characters in casual wear, again, pretty much a reference book. A nice reference book, definitely. This one's got some really nice examples in it of things like jean folds. It's super useful for stuff like that, but not so much for, you know, armor and stuff like that. And then you've got a bodies and anatomy one. Now this one is, I guess, a reference book, but because it doesn't actually go into any anatomical detail, it kind of just shows you poses, like this one, arm thrusting upward, male. It doesn't tell you what muscles are doing what and why they've moved to the place that they've moved, so it's not super useful as an anatomical reference. I do have a book which a friend of mine, a guy called Graham, has let me have for a very reasonable price, which is absolutely phenomenal in that respect, and it's just called Anatomy. So there we go, Anatomy, this one's called. It was originally printed in 1975, so it's a fairly old book, but it is just, you know, the fact that it's describing these muscles and it's kind of showing you where the contractions and where the expansions are going to be, and displaying it in different methods as well. So you've got kind of line drawings, and then you've got your more kind of shaded displaying the bones, and there's actually some white on black which really helps. Yeah, so you know, showing you these tendons and muscles in the hand there, that's, you know, going to be super useful. Actually, yeah, the ones that are black and white are complete nudes, and I don't want to get this video struck, so we won't go that far. Just quickly as well, this is the colour chart, the Copic colour chart that I was mentioning earlier on. Lots and lots of tiny little squares that show you just how many pens you don't own. This is a very daunting looking thing until you realise that I think all of these ones that are marked with a square, I'm going off camera. So the ones that are marked with a square are original Copic, and those didn't come with a brush tip, so won't be bothering to get those. The ones that are marked with the wider shape are the wide ones, again, don't need that. So any that have either square or wide as the only available option, you know, don't need to get that. So there's quite a few of those. Still, there's, you know, considering I've got 49 pens right now, 49 Copic markers, and you see how much white space there is, you can kind of tell how much I don't own right now. So yeah, there's that. Apologies if this video is a bit of a boring one. I did have, like I say, I had something planned to do with this one. It's just a case of, you know, circumstance, unfortunately. But then again, you know, it may have been interesting to see some of the stuff that I use. Oh, that's my little box of erasers, and I got a couple of putty erasers, kneadable erasers, sorry, in there. My box of pencils, which is kind of filled with half mechanicals for when I'm doing real sketchy work, and then some nicer ones for when I'm actually doing stuff I want to keep. Yeah, sorry that the video is a bit of an off-the-cuff one. Sorry if it felt a little bit disjointed, which it probably did, in fairness. I will be back to doing a normal video next week, hopefully, so please do come back for that. If you like the video, stick a like on it. If you didn't like it, please feel free to stick a dislike on it, because I do, you know, appreciate feedback either way. What I really appreciate is you guys subscribing, because fantastic. I think at the time of recording this, I've got 35 subscribers, which is just superb, and I really appreciate it, guys. And you know, it makes me want to carry on making these videos, which is, I guess, the whole point of this. So thank you so much to anybody who subscribed. Thank you very much for all the comments. Thank you for the likes. At some point in the future, I am going to be doing a giveaway of some description, possibly a small competition. To don't get excited, it's going to be giving away all of the Boldmere markers, all of the touch markers that I got, and the hashtag colouring markers too. So I'll be giving all of those away. It is going to be a worldwide thing, so please, you know, come back, keep looking at the videos. Like I say, subscribe, turn on notifications, and you'll be notified when that video goes up. So thanks again for coming, guys, and I'll see you soon.